I think all of us are working on mobile solutions, and all of us are dealing with a lot of challenges when it comes to those solutions. And today I'd like to discuss some of those issues and also some of those, and how to solve some of those problems. As you know, my name is Richard Panzer, and I'm a web mobile architect with IQ Solutions. Thank you for inviting me here today to speak at the DHCX. I'd like to start off by just stating it. I love the web. I love it. I can't get around it. It is the greatest invention of my generation. I remember when I was in school and the internet appeared, and it was love at first sight. It is just amazing how much the web has done for us, and so quickly. I don't think we can imagine our lives without the web, and we can't imagine our lives before the web. It's very hard to go back and say, wow, what would we do without this? And we just keep wondering, what's next? What's next? What are we going to be working on? Where are we going to be going? Right now, we're dealing with a lot of complex solutions. We're still playing catch-up and working on all these solutions all at one time. Now, we want to produce these solutions that are flexible and available to everybody. We want our technology to be everywhere. The web is rapidly evolving, and we just cannot keep up. We're always playing catch-up. To be honest, there really isn't a way to necessarily create one solution that's going to solve all of our problems. We just can't stay on top of it. We can't keep looking for a cookie-cutter solution. So how can we produce solutions that continually meet consumer expectations? And those are rapidly evolving, they're changing, and we just don't know what's next. As we know, mobile is all the rage. Larry stated a lot of numbers, and a couple of other related ones. By 2013, mobile will overtake the desktop as the most common internet access point. So, as we know, there are more mobile phones in the world, but the desktop is still the most commonly place where people are searched. But mobile will overtake that by the end of 2013. In addition, this past holiday season, the amount of e-readers nearly doubled from 10% to 19%. So the amount of e-readers, tablets, mobile devices that are in people's homes is just growing exponentially. And also we know that mobile devices are growing so much cheaper. A device that cost $500 3 years ago is now given away. And that really begins to open up the opportunities and really begins to serve a larger community. We know that the underserved communities, for example, mobile is their main access point. And a lot of people do not have cable modems and digital plans coming into their home. Mobile is their main access point into the internet. We also know that mobile is a very personal solution. People do things and they do different types of searches on mobile versus than what they do on a desktop. Google has the data. You can look and find out what kind of the different types of desktop searches versus mobile searches. As mobile devices get cheaper, as they just become going everywhere, we need to be able to reach more and more people, and we need to make sure the content is available to them. And also what we know is that Google.com will soon be serving mobile-friendly content higher on mobile devices. When searches are conducted on mobile devices using Google, mobile content will rise to the top in the search results compared to desktop results. So there's really a really good reason to make sure your content is mobile-friendly. I think we all can relate that as communications people, this becomes another tool that we need to work on, that we need to manage and figure out how to leverage. I think we all turn to technology to try and solve that problem. We want technology to, if we just buy a new system or if we add a new function, it'll begin to solve our problems. I remember when I was 8 years old and Nike released the Air Jordans, and they were the hottest thing going. And I remember thinking, if I get a pair of those Air Jordans, I'll be able to run faster and jump higher and maybe shoot a basket. And I thought technology was going to solve my inabilities of being only 4'4" and not being able to shoot a basket, but I believed it. But really what it comes down to is really about dedication, work, practice, improving your methodologies, improving your skills that you currently have that you can actually control. And if you actually use those skills and you work with what you control, then you can really learn to apply technology instead of lean on it. So really what it comes down to is content. Your content is what I think we all have some ability to have a grasp of. And it's about linking your content. And what I mean by content is it's your video, it's your audio, It's your social media, it's your EPUBs, it's your content on your website, it's even your static content or your printed content. These are all pieces of your content that need to relate together. And you can begin by working on getting that information linked and shared and available. If you can work on what you can control, the content, and you put it in the right context for people to leverage, you can then pretty much go anywhere, and you don't need to worry about what the next challenge is. Is it what's beyond mobile? Where are we going? Because your content will be flexible. I think what you really want to try and do is socialize it. You want to make sure your content is available to be shared through Twitter or placed on someone's Facebook page. That way, the content can reach audiences that you can't just reach out to. It's about making it available so others can reach out for you. You want to make it personable and customizable. If you make your content available to me and I can take that piece of content and put it in a format that I like using it in, I can then create any type of solution I want. For example, if you have an iPad, you might have Flipboard. Flipboard allows you to take content, aggregate it from all these different resources from all around the internet, and make your own personalized magazine, essentially. You can have it on different themes and topics. You can flip through it, but it's yours. It's your experience. It's what you want. It's how you want to interact with, and you can move your content around. You can delete and get rid of content as you want. So you make your content personal. Then you also extend it. You make your content available, and you open it up. You make it so others can leverage that information and build new solutions that you can't even begin to imagine yet, or you don't have the resources or funds to build. If you open up your content, people will take that information and they'll build all kinds of great tools from it. And ideally, they'll give you credit for it too. The idea is that, for example, iTriage, a great app for the iPhone, they leverage content or data from the data.gov, open data in the data.gov website. And they take content, they take the locations of facilities and hospitals around the United States, and they take it and they embed it into their app. So when people need to find a hospital nearby them, they're able to search for it and find it. So all the government did was open up and share that information and make it available. And once it became available, its reach was unimaginable. It's just going to keep going. Can you imagine all the other solutions that can keep going on? So I think a lot of us try to build a solution for everybody to use. I want everybody to download my app or visit my site. You want them to come to you. But if you really begin to say, what can my content do? And if I make it relatable, where can it go? It can pretty much go anywhere. And you don't need to worry so much about what's next or how do I keep up and where do I get started. At IQ Solutions, we have a model, I call it the cake model, that we work with when we begin and we work through projects. And it really is relatively straightforward, but really what's important is that we begin with strategy and research. We really try to determine what it is we're targeting, where we're going, and what those users would like to use. And then we use evaluation methods, we use analytics, and we continually update. And then we build the content and the structure. We structure it in a universal standard format, a standardized way of the content can be accessed. So then other users can build solutions from it. Then we worry about technology. We worry about technology after we've decided how our content needs to actually work. Because once we know how our content needs to work, then we can pick the right technologies to actually support that. And we know that, for example, we want to open up our content. So we make sure that we buy solutions or we develop solutions that do that. And then once we have the right technology, the infrastructure to support the content and what our strategy is, then we can build almost any e-solution on top of it. As a web developer, as an architect, my biggest challenge is actually getting to the content and getting to it and then leveraging it and being able to use it, repurpose it, and make it flexible. I want to build a mobile app. I want to integrate it into a website. I want to go to these places with it, anywhere. And then you can see in the cake the pipes that are connecting each tier up and down. And that's what I would think of as the analytics and evaluation. When we're building these solutions, we're integrating analytics into it, and we're constantly evaluating it. So we know what works. We know what doesn't work. We know what users are interested in. We know where trends are going. This way we can invest in what is working, and we can stop investing in what isn't. And then finally, we have the icing on the cake, which to me is the user interface and the user experience. You want to create a very enjoyable, a very pleasant to look at and good tasting cake. And if you put all those pieces together, you'll have a well-designed system that will then allow you to go almost anywhere, and you won't feel, what do I need to do with when this new evolutionary piece comes out? So my take-home message is really about building your content and structuring it so it's flexible. Putting it in a standards-based way and tagging it and relating it. And some of us might wonder, well, I have a system, I don't want to reinvent it, I've got a lot of systems I need to work in. There's ways to get started without starting over. You do not need to go all the way back to square one every time. And I think a lot of us feel that way. A lot of us feel that if we go that, all right, we want to get mobile, so we've got to rebuild our system to support mobile. If we do that every time, that's going to get very expensive. There's ways to use what you currently have and make it flexible. Maybe in time you'll go back and redesign and redo pieces of it, or redo your whole system as budgets allow. But in the short run, there's ways to begin now and get going. But it's really about starting by opening up your content and is working with your teams to really begin to relate that content together. I have a brief demonstration that I'd like to walk you through. Just recently, we launched the National Institute of Drug Abuse website, NIDA, drugabuse.gov. This was actually in the middle of a redesign, so we were fortunate to actually be able to start from scratch in some ways. But we put the content together, we put it into a system, a content management system. We focused on the content. We got the content and we structured it in a way, we tagged it and related it all together. And we have one centralized system to support all other systems. So we have the NIDA website, we have the CMS that supports it. Now, what we did is we built an interface to support the desktop site, and then we also built a separate mobile interface for the mobile site, m.drugabuse.gov. But at its core, it's all the same content. If the client changes any of these words in their system, it will change on their desktop and on their mobile immediately. The other thing we did is we built the Spanish content right next to the English content. They live in parallel with each other. So whenever there is a Spanish version of anything, publications or whatever, it's living right next to it, essentially in a tagged format. So within one click, somebody's looking at an English version of the publication or a page on the website, they can immediately flip over and be looking at the Spanish version of that. That was something that, through our evaluation and our strategy early on when we met with consumers of content, what they would be looking for, mainly health professionals who are serving Spanish-speaking audiences. They want to be able to, commonly, they find it in English and they want the person to be able to view it in Spanish. So within one click, a person can go from English to Spanish. My favorite part of what was built is the EPUB tool, or the eBooks tool. We built an application that sits right next to the content management system that leverages the same content in the system. We have all of NIDA's publications in the system, over 200, sitting in the system, with their pages, with their covers, with their table of contents. All of that is structured inside of the system. And when the client changes any word inside of their content system, management system, when a user goes and clicks the EPUB or the Kindle or whatever they want to view it on in an e-reader, when they click it, they get the latest content immediately. We built it so it's one application to handle all the content. So we didn't build 200 separate versions of these pubs. These pubs are generated dynamically in real time. So they're immediately available, and the user always can download them. So that's the NIDA story. I say thank you for coming. And at the end of after the presentations today, we'll be doing a demo of the NIDA site, as well as some of our other mobile and most recent solutions back at our booth. So, thank you for the opportunity.